60% of the children approaching the border are sexually exploited prior to arriving to the border, and that is a preparation mechanism for when they're in the United States, for them to be trafficked and sold into slave labor, either slave labor, the sex trade, or forced sexual activity. So the number is staggering. You know, when they talk about 385,000 children lost, the true number is closer to 500,000. And unfortunately, those are called ghost children by the cartel in the United States. The cartel named them ghost children because no one is looking for them. There's no trace and no record of these children. And so they are free within the market of sex trafficking, unfortunately.
Yeah, so when you see how the Biden-Harris administration has handled the U.S. southern border crisis, are you surprised they were facing the problems that we have tracking and supporting these illegal migrant children who are missing across our country?
Now, when you understand that decades ago, cartels that used to only traffic drugs started trafficking persons. They started moving children because, unfortunately, you sell a pound of cocaine once, but you sell a human being over and over. So all your major drug cartels move people. They sell people and they sell children. What Americans don't understand is the sophistication of the networks of the cartels inside the United States. It's very sophisticated. We are rescuing children in Maine, in Rochester, New York, in Montana, in the middle of nowhere. They have the ability, because of the Biden administration, with the border czar, Kamala Harris, as VP, have created an open floodgate system for them to bring children into the country by the cartel, distributing them to the cartel in the U.S. that then become the traffickers at large in the U.S. of these migrant children.
How disturbing. Now, our thoughts run to the ugliest crimes against these children, like using them in prostitution. But what about an illegal workforce? How big a problem is that these kids end up working somewhere?
Massive problem. As you saw recently, documented 200 children rescued from working at 2 a.m. at a McDonald's. Unfortunately, we see large U.S. corporations willing to employ undocumented, illegal minors to work, and it's slave labor. Look, this is modern day slavery on the American watch. More slaves today than ever before in history. So what we really need to do is name things what they are. The Biden-Harris administration enabled slavery of human beings, particularly minors, into the United States, and they have set a landscape up that allows slavery to continue in the United States, both slave labor, forced labor, or sexual exploitation of minors.
Now tell us about your ministry and what you are doing to combat these problems, please.
We started in 1994 when my sister was trafficked, and she was trafficked for 6 years before we were blessed by God to see her rescued, and we've never stopped. So we go after every single child. JBM is an anti-trafficking organization that focuses on rescuing minors or preventing minors from falling into trafficking. And now, as you well know, that includes a deluge of minors from other countries that are coming into our country. It's a daily fight for us. It's a monumental battle. The crime has increased 1,600%, trafficking minors, since Joe Biden has taken office. And people can find us at helpjbm.org. We need everybody in this fight.
Helpjbm.org. Now, we're looking at a national election, of course, as you know, in less than 2 weeks. How do you see these two presidential candidates affecting border security and those missing children?
Only one president in American history identified child sex trafficking as a crime, opened up an office in the White House, funded the initiative with the U.S. Marshals from the White House, opened lines of communication between law enforcement, and that was Donald J. Trump. President Biden shut that office down the second day of his administration, dried up the funding. There's no question children will be sold for sex into and throughout this country under Kamala Harris, and Donald J. Trump will help us to end the trafficking of children in the United States.
Real quickly, one last question. Do you think most of those children are still in this country, or have they been shipped to other countries around the world?
No, they're in our country. Most of them are being trafficked in our nation.
Okay. Well, please take the time to learn more about Jaako's work at JaakoBoyansMinistries.org. It's an honor to have you back with us. Jaako, keep up the important work.
God bless.